Hey folks, Cam Rogers coming at you on the Cam Rogers Show on this Friday morning, March 2nd, 2018. And we thank you for tuning into this program. I've got you covered for the next hour. I am Cam Rogers. Check me out on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99, episode 72 of the show. We are getting close to triple digits. Very exciting stuff. An exciting show as well. Let's take a look at the schedule. Here's the rundown. I got the latest NFL news, headlines, and rumors. We're going to go through all the big-time storylines as, of course, the NFL Combine is going on right now. But there are a lot of off-the-Combine storylines to track here. So Jarvis Landry, Tyrod Taylor, Rob Gronkowski have got you covered. Hold on just a second. I'll get you there. 5 teams that could trade for Jarvis Landry. That will come up at the 20-minute mark, followed by my top 10 NFL mock draft, little NBA MVP power rankings with one Brian Rauf, and a final word about Joel Embiid perhaps recruiting LeBron James. Very interesting Instagram post he put recently. So I'll show you that later in the show. This is the Cam Rogers Show presented by AutoList. Are you tired of searching a million sites looking for that fantastic new or used car? Save yourself the time. Autolist.com is the way to go. You can download their award-winning app as well for iPhone and Android users. Autolist is the way to go. To save all of that time shopping for that dream car, Autolist.com is the website. All right, so here are the latest news and rumors across the National Football League. We'll start things off with Rob Gronkowski. What is the latest? Well, I'm here to tell you. So Ian Rappaport suggested Rob Gronkowski is coming back to the Patriots. And then Gronk, in perfect timing, shows up with another cryptic tweet. And here it is, #clueless. So there's no doubt that retirement is on his mind. You remember after Super Bowl 52, he said, quote, I'm definitely going to look at my future for sure. I'm going to sit down the next couple of weeks and see where I'm at. And Gronk, of course, has sustained his fair share of injuries in his career and has played a full season as a starter just once. So it's not beyond the realm of possibility that Rob Gronkowski decides to retire. Now, of course, you have Hollywood and the WWE recruiting this guy to join them and do some entertainment type of stuff, and I'm sure they're not far behind in terms of career choices for Rob Gronkowski. When it comes down to it, for Rob, money is not the issue here. Gronk has actually saved at least $44 million from his playing career. He has that in the back pocket. Now, my understanding is Gronk will eventually entertain the idea of acting or perhaps joining the WWE. And despite his recently cryptic tweet, as you see it right here, signs point toward a return with the New England Patriots. I think he is going to come back with New England. He'll be due $17 million in total base salary for the next 2 seasons. And my main argument about this is the following. If Josh McDaniels has a head coaching position locked up with the Indianapolis Colts, and somehow, some way, the likes of Belichick and Kraft and Brady can pry him back to be the offensive coordinator there, I'm pretty sure Brady and the brass of the New England Patriots will be able to put Rob Gronkowski in a conference room and say, look, you're a fantastic tight end, perhaps the best in the league. We want you back on this offense. Let's go give it another run. And I think Gronkowski is going to return to the New England Patriots. That's my understanding. Let's get to the next headline here. LaMarcus Joyner, will he remain in Los Angeles? So here is the deal. Joyner is the priority for the LA Rams. You know, of course, Joyner's a free agent. Sammy Watkins is a free agent, and Tremaine Johnson is an impending free agent. So a decision has to be made on Joyner, on Watkins, and on Johnson, respectively. Of course, the Rams just acquired Marcus Peters. Can't be official until the new league year on March 14th, but for all intents and purposes, Peters is headed to the Rams. And so maybe Tremaine Johnson is expendable, and maybe Sammy Watkins can be worked out for perhaps a 1 or 2 year prove-it kind of deal, while Joyner gets the franchise tag. I've mentioned many times that Joyner should be the priority for the Rams, and it seems as though Sean McVay has been tuning into the Cam Rogers Show because he just recently said that Joyner returning to the Rams is a, quote, huge priority. And why wouldn't it be? He's an important part of that secondary. Pairing Joyner and Josh Johnson would make for a really formidable safety tandem for the years to come. Add in Marcus Peters at corner. And the Rams have a very scary secondary. Like I said, franchise tag, very much a possibility. But the Rams only have a few days to make that decision, March 6th to be exact. So they'll have to come down with a choice on that pretty darn soon. From what I've gathered, all signs point to Joyner remaining with the Rams. All signs point toward Tyrod Taylor perhaps moving on. So the latest with Tyrod is the following. The Bills brass really didn't provide much on the status of Tyrod. Shocker alert. He's on the roster. Nothing more, nothing less. That's basically what GM Brandon Beane said. And here's one of his quotes from the Combine. Quote, "We're just taking it day by day, and like every position, we're trying to get better everywhere. So we're looking at every position, including quarterback." So it's this blanket statement. And you're going to get another one from Jason Garrett in a matter of moments here when I talk about Dez Bryant, about as diplomatic as you can get with a response. Now, the Bills are expected to pay Tyrod Taylor the $6 million roster bonus he's owed. But that really doesn't mean much. I think it's more of a kind of direction of insurance policy by giving Tyrod Taylor that money, because if for some crazy reason the Bills can't trade up in the draft and get a rookie quarterback or get a quality quarterback in free agency, then yes, perhaps Tyrod Taylor will be the starting quarterback in 2018, and the Bills really won't be happy about it, but at least they have a guy with starting experience in the Bills system that they can trot out there in week one. I want to hear from you. Will Tyrod Taylor be the Bills' starting quarterback in 2018? Give me a heart for yes, a like for no, and hit that reaction button. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that reaction button and then slide it into the comment section below. So Tyrod Taylor, if the Bills want to be preventative of being stuck in neutral, if you will, they got to get rid of this guy. Because we know who he is. We know his ceiling. It's not very high. A Josh Rosen has a high ceiling. Bringing in a Kirk Cousins into that offensive system with Dable and a good offensive line and LaShawn McCoy, etc., high ceiling. Tyrod Taylor, it's almost like you know what you're going to get. It's not going to rejuvenate the fan base in any way. And I've talked to many Bills fans out there, and they have told me, look, we need to move on from Tyrod Taylor. But the latest, from what I'm hearing, he's probably going to be for sale via the trade, could be released. And then, of course, that roster bonus, it's there to be paid, but, you know, it's last resort. Let's go to Adrian Peterson. What's the deal with him? Could he be cut by the Arizona Cardinals? Sure sounds that way. It makes sense, too. If the Cardinals want to make a run at a quarterback in free agency, they need salary cap relief. And there's no dead money with cutting Peterson, which is definitely a plus. And the Cards only have $21 million in salary cap space as we stand. I think Adrian Peterson is a surefire release, while Jared Veldheer and Mike Gaiupati are also potential salary cap casualties too. Tyrann Mathieu could also get the boot. There's been reports that they're reevaluating the use of him on that defense. So the bottom line with the Cardinals, they've got to be competitive on the open market looking for a free agent quarterback, because I don't think they can get a good rookie quarterback in the draft, selecting at number 15 overall. I also don't think they trade up in the draft to go get a rookie quarterback. So that means some tough decisions with their roster, and that includes Adrian Peterson. And like I said, very easy decision because David Johnson is coming back. I know they have a couple of other free agents at the running back position as well, but the Cardinals could very much go with a running back in the draft, too, to kind of back up David Johnson. There's a really rich crop of running backs in this year's draft. So Cardinals fans should not worry about that. Adrian Peterson probably going to be testing the open market after he gets cut by the Cardinals. All right, folks, let's move on to Tavon Austin. Is he done with the LA Rams? Certainly seems that way. The Tavon Austin experiment looks to be over with LA. A former number 8 overall pick, Austin has not come close to playing up to his 4-year, $42 million deal that he signed in 2016. Quite frankly, he has stunk since then. Caught just 13 passes for 47 yards for a minuscule 3.6 yards per reception last year. And the Rams, of course, are hoping to bring back Joyner, maybe Sammy Watkins, so they need the salary cap relief to get all of that done. Cutting Austin would come with, albeit, a $5 million dead money hit, but also $3 million in savings, plus Austin's contract calls for a $5 million roster bonus this month. There's no way the LA Rams are going to want to pay him that much money. And when I was doing my research and my reading on Tavon Austin, the numbers are not all of that impressive. And it got me thinking, is Tavon Austin a bust? And also, who's the biggest bust in NFL history? Throw in your comments in the comments section below here on Facebook Live and on YouTube. I want to hear from you. We'll show the comments on the broadcast as we see fit. But the emergence of Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, all the evidence is there that the Rams can just say, see you later, Tavon Austin. Looks like he is going to be moving on from the LA Rams. All right, next headline across the NFL. Johnny Manziel, what is the latest? So, according to reports and from what I am hearing, Johnny Manziel has been in talks with multiple NFL coaches. This is a juicy story here. So, several folks within NFL inner circles believe that Johnny Manziel is capable of a comeback either before or after he plays in the Spring League. Because you may recall he did commit to playing in the Spring League, so take that for what it's worth. And look, guys, his exclusive with GMA was not by accident. You don't just come out of hiding, do an exclusive interview with a national station, ABC, and not do anything with it. Johnny Manziel is putting the wheels into motion, if you will. First, it's the GMA interview. Then it's the announcement you're joining the Spring League. Then it's this report, this information that indicates that Johnny Manziel is now in negotiations with talks, at least, with NFL coaches. So it begs the question, do you want Johnny Manziel back in the NFL? A comeback, is it good or bad for football? You know what would be interesting? Johnny Manziel back playing in the NFL, and at some point Baker Mayfield being a starting quarterback for an NFL team, and both those teams doing battle. Talk about ratings, right? Because the NFL is struggling with ratings. They would love Johnny Manziel to return to the NFL, and I'm sure they would love one Baker Mayfield to be a starting quarterback in the National Football League. So let me know in the comments section. I've got the broadcast right in front of me, tracking all of your comments. Seen some comments for my question about the biggest bust in NFL history. Jamarcus Russell, figured that would be a popular one. So keep those comments flowing and let me know about Johnny Manziel. All right, next headline here. Aqib Talib, what is the latest? Is a trade going to go down? So this is quite intriguing. It sure sounds like there's friction between Denver and Aqib Talib. Talib is 32 years old, by the way. He's owed $12 million in 2018. The Broncos can save $11 million of that if they cut or trade him. And reports came out via Ian Rappaport, and Aqib Talib had something to say about that on Twitter. So there he is, little eye emoji going on here, and who coming to get me? So maybe Aqib Talib is open to perhaps going to another team, or maybe he's just trolling people. He actually is very active on Twitter in terms of like quote tweeting things and responding. So this isn't like out of the ordinary for him. I actually looked at his Twitter feed and it's kind of something that he likes to do. So here's the deal. It's not like Aqib Talib played poorly in 2017. There he is, graded as the Pro Football Focus's 15th cornerback in 2017. The problem is Denver is going to be in the Kirk Cousins sweepstakes, and they need to save as much money as they possibly can to be in the thick of that running. Because when you have the Browns and the Jets and all these teams with a lot of salary cap space, the Broncos are already behind the 8 ball in terms of money. So there's just no realistic way for them to afford all 3 of their top 3 corners, Bradley Roby, Chris Harris, and Aqib Talib. Seems like Talib is on that chopping block. So from what I understand also, it sounds like Denver is keeping Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders at wide receiver which I think is the smart move. I think moving on from Aqib Talib is something that probably should happen for Denver. So it looks like we are leaning that way. All right, so let's talk about Dez Bryant now. What is the latest with him? Is the Dez Bryant era over in Dallas? So I talked about Jason Garrett earlier. He was quite, shall we say, conservative in responding to questions about Dez's future. Responded with saying the team has not had specific personnel meetings about any players yet. That was his response about Dez. And apparently, according to reports, he kind of like seemed cringy when he was being asked about these questions about Dez Bryant. And the fact that Jason didn't even shut down the idea tells me that the Dez Bryant era could very well be over in Dallas. And I have argued that it should be. Yes, the Cowboys would have to eat up $8.5 million in dead money if they were to cut him. Understand that. But there's also $8 million in cap savings. Plus, if the Cowboys think Dez is a distraction, can you really put a price on being a distraction in the locker room? Is it time for the Dallas Cowboys to cut Dez Bryant? Let me know. Give me a heart for yes, a like for no. One more thing on Dez. And people have come at me in the comments section on Facebook and YouTube for this. Even though it doesn't make complete sense from a monetary perspective, cutting Dez Bryant means more than just money. It's a symbolic movement away from the Dez Bryant era, ushering in youth at the wide receiver position for Dallas, and changing the guard at that position. Guys, you look at the numbers, Dez Bryant's numbers with Dak Prescott at quarterback aren't good. They just aren't. So the evidence is there. It's time to move on. It's a symbolic move more so than a monetary one, but that's where I stand. Of course, Tom Downey here at Chat Sports disagrees with that one. All right, so from one headlining wide receiver to another, Odell Beckham Jr., does he want $20 million a year? That is the report. That's my understanding. We haven't heard from Odell himself, but if true, come on, Odell. Like, really? $20 million a year? Yes, he's an elite wide receiver. Topped 90 catches, 1,300 yards, and 10 touchdowns in each of his first 3 seasons. But he's coming off an injury-plagued season. So what leverage does he really have here? And oh, by the way, the Giants have roughly $25.6 million in cap space. And Antonio Brown is a better wide receiver, and he's only making $17 million per year. $20 million a year is like mid-tier quarterback money. Like, Mike Glennon was approaching that figure, and he barely played for the Chicago Bears last season. So, yeah, Odell, I get it. You're great. You're a good player, all that jazz. But $20 million, asking a lot. And if you want to win a ring with the New York Giants in 2018, you may want to dial back the $20 million figure there so the Giants can kind of spend elsewhere, especially on that offensive line. So one more thing on Odell. If they were to extend him, they could actually create some salary cap space in the short term if they push back bonuses in later years of his contract. So maybe if they kind of do something long term, the Giants can still fill some voids there that they have on that front line, on that defense. All right, so that's the latest with Odell. Let's go to some draft news here, more specifically about the Cleveland Browns. Is general manager John Dorsey willing to trade the #1 overall pick? This is interesting. And this is John Dorsey to the NFL. Sup. Because there you see the quote in the graphic. Give me a call and see what's up. So he's saying, hit me up, slide into the DMs, because the #1 overall pick is expendable. And according to him, he might be willing to trade it for the right price. So here's what I'm thinking about this. So if John Dorsey is willing to trade the #1 overall pick, perhaps they're confident that they're going to get Kirk Cousins. Or more so, maybe they really don't care if it's Darnold or Rosen or Allen or Mayfield that they get at #4 overall, because that's their next pick, right, via the Houston Texans. So either way, the Browns are looking to make moves in the draft. And I want to ask you folks watching the Cam Rogers show right now, who will be the Browns starting quarterback in 2018? Because I have no idea who it's going to be. Could be Kirk. Could be Deshaun Kaiser. Could be Darnold, Rosen, Mayfield, Allen. The list goes on. Could be Case Keenum, Josh McCown. Who the heck knows? There are so many possibilities with the Browns. Number one, because they have a good amount of draft capital in that first round. Number two, they have so much salary cap space that they could throw a blank check at Kirk Cousins and say, hey, come on over to Cleveland. So there are a lot of reasons about this. Hit me up in the comments section below, and of course, I'll be seeing what you guys say. You're watching the Cam Rogers Show here on Chat Sports Facebook Live. How we doing? I'm Cam Rogers. Follow me on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. Just went through all of the latest NFL headlines. This is the biggest one that I am tracking right now. The deal with Jarvis Landry. What's going on? Is there going to be a trade? So from what I understand, it looks like Miami Dolphins and Jarvis Landry are leaning towards a trade. And one of the latest developments that came out yesterday, Ian Rappaport tweeted, the Dolphins have given franchise-tagged wide receiver Jarvis Landry and his representative permission to seek and facilitate a trade. It will take cooperation from all parties. So something is simmering here. It looks like, despite the franchise tag, that Jarvis Landry is moving on from Miami. So with that, I have 5 teams guaranteed to make an offer to the Dolphins for the slot wide receiver in Jarvis Landry. I'm counting you down from number 5 to number 1. 5 less likely, number 1 more so likely in terms of my rankings. So let's check in with number 5 here, the Buffalo Bills. And just a quick note here about the franchise tag and all that. So Landry received the non-exclusive rights franchise tag, which means a team can still sign him, but that team would owe the Dolphins 2 first-round picks. Full stop. Not happening. No team is giving the Dolphins 2 first-round picks for a slot wide receiver. So that's why the trade is more possible here, and sources indicate Landry is worth at least a 3rd-round pick. So that's the baseline. So here you see the Buffalo Bills at number 5. Okay, their priority, securing a quarterback, but I think Landry is a possibility here. The Bills have a 3rd-round pick and a couple 2nd-round picks to play with as well. So they have the draft capital in terms of making an offer. Their top wide receiver was Deontay Thompson. So yeah, they need help. And no matter who comes in as the quarterback, I think Landry would be a worthwhile addition here. And you might hear me say this a couple times, but Landry is a rookie quarterback's dream because he is a security blanket that rookie quarterbacks really love to utilize, right? Because when you're a young quarterback and you're still going through the motions of learning to be a professional player, having a guy that you can always rely on is critical. We always say that tight ends are loved by rookies. Well, a guy like Jarvis Landry is certainly one at that. So we got the Buffalo Bills at number 5. Let's check in with number 4 here, San Francisco 49ers. Wide receiver is a need, perhaps not the slot, but still, the 49ers have the money to pay up for the guy. So why not bring him in, put the best potential team around Jimmy Garoppolo? And all the 49ers fans, I'm just seeing it right now in the comments section. Trent Taylor, Trent Taylor, Trent Taylor. I get it, I get it, I get it. But if the 49ers have money left over after, say, they sign an Andrew Norwell or what have you, why not make a run at this guy and offer up a trade to the Dolphins? And you could certainly afford Jarvis Landry's salary. I would argue, again, that the 49ers would probably have to address the interior of their offensive line first. So that's either drafting Quenton Nelson or going and grabbing an Andrew Norwell, Justin Pugh, Jack Mewhort, the list goes on. But I'd also think grabbing Jarvis Landry would be a smart move on their part too. So also hate to break the news to 49ers fans out there. I don't think Allen Robinson is going to test the open market. So your second best option here, Jarvis Landry, could go down. So the 49ers are at number 4. I see Aaron in the comments section saying Landry to the Browns. Well, I got the Browns at number 3, Aaron. Appreciate that comment, sir. Let's take a look at the Browns. So they have a lot of salary cap space. That we know. We also know that after Gordon and after Coleman at wide receiver, not really that great. Rashard Higgins, Ricardo Lewis, they're nice complementary pieces. And I will note Coleman does have an injury history, and really, you never just know with Josh Gordon sometimes. So Jarvis Landry could provide some continuity, some consistency to the wide receiver position for whoever is the quarterback for the Browns. And rookie or Kirk Cousins, I think Landry fits well in what offensive coordinator Todd Haley likes to do and wants to do. But in terms of a Kirk Cousins situation, I think that pairing would really work out well for Cleveland. I think a Case Keenum pairing would work out really well for the Cleveland Browns as well. So really, Cleveland can't go wrong here if they were to grab Jarvis Landry. Whoever is the quarterback there, I think it's going to be a very fine situation, unless it's Deshaun Kaiser, because he just isn't very good. So the Cleveland Browns, they could really use a reliable pass catcher, and I think that Kirk Cousins, Jarvis Landry connection would be pretty darn solid for years to come. There you see at the bottom of your screen, Landry would be a rookie quarterback's dream. No doubt about that. All right, let's check in with my team number 2, guaranteed to offer something for Mr. Jarvis Landry. We got the Chicago Bears, and we all know that they are in dire need of a wide receiver. When you look at their roster, Dontrell Inman and Kendall Wright and Kevin White, who's barely seen the football field, not exactly wide receivers that scare opposing cornerbacks. So it's a huge need, and they've been tied to Calvin Ridley at number 8 overall, which is fine and all of that, but let's say the Bears make a run at Jarvis. Then they don't have to get Calvin Ridley at number 8 overall because, number 1, you're already reaching for the guy at that number. Number 2, you can address other positions such as inside linebacker. Mitchell Trubisky is a precision passer, and I think he needs a security blanket. And I think Jarvis Landry can be that guy. And like I said, Kendall Wright, Dontrell Inman, by the way, Josh Bellamy, all those guys are going to be free agents too. And who knows if any of those 3 are coming back to Chicago. So Landry, Mitchell Trubisky, I know Chat Sports' own Tom Downey has mentioned how it's just like a fantastic pairing for the two. I would totally agree with that. We disagree on Dez Bryant, but we agree on this. The Chicago Bears would be very smart to make an offer to the Miami Dolphins to bring in Jarvis Landry. I think that connection there with Trubisky and Jarvis would be very worthwhile and probably a refreshing sight because 2017 was not very good for the aerial attack for the Chicago Bears. All right, they're at number 2, which means there's a better option out there. The best option for me, the Baltimore Ravens. Joe Flacco loves his checkdowns, folks. He's known as a deep ball thrower, chucking it down the field in the past few years to Derek Mason, Torrey Smith, Anquan Bolden, et cetera, et cetera. Well, you know what? Joe Flacco a lot of times will be throwing the football within 5, 6, 7 yards. Who does that the best in the NFL? Perhaps Jarvis Landry. So I think it makes a lot of sense here, and I think the Ravens have to help out Joe Flacco. He hasn't had a good receiver since Torrey Smith or Anquan Bolden. Let's face it, he hasn't, and that's why his numbers have struggled. People are going to point at me in the comment section saying Joe Flacco is just not a good quarterback. You know what? The Ravens have done a very poor job at putting a good team around Flacco. That has been a main concern. The Ravens also are not in the greatest salary cap situation. They're actually pretty strapped right now, but I expect them to make some salary cap cuts. Jeremy Maclin, Danny Woodhead, perhaps Ladarius Webb, and free up some space to bring in Jarvis Landry. You may recall the story that came out, I believe is maybe a couple months ago, that the Ravens were interested in grabbing Jarvis Landry last offseason. So I think it makes the most sense here. Baltimore Ravens check in as my number 1 team, guaranteed to make an offer for Jarvis Landry. Let's summarize my list here. We got the Ravens at 1, Chicago Bears at 2, Cleveland Browns at 3, San Francisco 49ers at number 4, and the Buffalo Bills at number 5. You're watching the Cam Rogers Show here on Chat Sports Facebook Live. How we doing, ladies and gentlemen? We thank you for tuning into this program here on this Friday morning. We're presented by AutoList. Are you tired of surfing millions of sites looking for that awesome new or used car? I'm saving you so much time. Autolist.com. That's the way to go to find that new dream car out there. Many thanks to Autolist for sponsoring the Cam Rogers Show here today. All right, it's the Combine. We're getting close to the NFL Draft, so I have a fresh list. Top 10 NFL mock draft to show all you guys out there. And we'll start off with the Cleveland Browns selecting number 1 overall in the NFL Draft, given that John Dorsey doesn't decide to trade it away. And I've got Sam Darnold going to Cleveland. So here's the deal with Darnold. 6'4", 220, got the prototypical quarterback size, throws a tight spiral, trusts his arm really well. I think he's got great pocket presence, solid pre-snap reader as well, especially in regard to deep ball opportunities. Keeps his eyes downfield really well under pressure too, and kind of has a Ben Roethlisberger kind of feel to him in terms of evading sacks. I'm not going to say he's all the way like Ben Roethlisberger because the last comparison that was made was for Blake Bortles, it seemed, and that really didn't work out all that great, or at least it's not working out. Darnold, though, got good poise. I love his leadership. Despite making mistakes, which is the knock on him, right? You know, the turnovers and all that. The guy gets up, bounces up, and moves on to the next play. And I talked about this on my show earlier this week. It's almost Andrew Luck-esque. You know what I mean? Like, Andrew Luck will throw interceptions and fumble the football and all that, but he bounces right back up, claps his hands, and hits a couple helmets on his way back in and kind of reamps his fellow players. So if I'm a GM, give me Darnold over Rosen any day. I can teach Darnold to make better decisions with the football. I can't teach Josh Rosen to be a leader, and that's where I have my concerns. So I think the Cleveland Browns will make a big-time decision in drafting Sam Darnold. Bob in the comments section, guys, a turnover machine. Well, hey, we can teach that. You remember Jameis Winston was a turnover machine too, Bob. So, you know, sometimes it's not a full indicator of success in the NFL. So I got Sam Darnold at number 1 overall. Give me number 2 here, the New York Giants. They will select Josh Rosen. So I think it makes sense here that he goes to the Big Apple, learn under Eli Manning and perhaps a veteran backup like a Josh McCown or Case Keenum or Teddy Bridgewater. Now, Rosen refuted the report that he said he didn't want to play for the Browns. So yeah, when you're fighting off bad PR, that ain't a good look. And that tells me that probably there is some accuracy to the report that he was talking about not wanting to play for the Cleveland Browns. And that tells me also he's got an attitude problem. And also reports suggest that he's kind of an odd guy, odd personality, not the greatest leader out there. But here's what I'll say about Rosen. Perhaps the best coordinated quarterback in the draft. Elite footwork and balance, has that quarterback look when he delivers the football, completed 63% of his passes when blitzed in 2017. He also didn't have great help around him at UCLA. Offensive line struggled in pass protection. His receivers accounted for 31 drops last season. Knows how to throw his receivers open because he had to do it a lot at UCLA. Great on the back shoulder toss, too. If you watch the tape, really good on those throws. His arm isn't as strong as, say, a Darnold or Josh Allen, but I still like his precision. Good player in that regard. Can also struggle against early pressure, so that's something I'm monitoring there. This is what one NFL executive said about Rosen. Quote, he's definitely talented. Nobody questions that, but he's going to have to get grown men to buy into him as a leader. That is not given. So Rosen has a lot to prove in that regard in terms of leadership in the NFL. So he's at number 2. Let's check in with number 3 here on the Cam Rogers Show. I just saw a comment from Steve saying, hi, Cam. Steve, hi. Thank you for the comment, my man. Wanted to get that out there. All right, selecting number 3 overall. The Indianapolis Colts. They will get Quenton Nelson, guard out of Notre Dame, road grader, premier pass protector, good footwork. I like him a lot. And he's got the nice wide hips, powerful chest, powerful limbs. He's got the look that I like, and he just blows people off the ball in the run game. Fantastic punch, quickly engages his defender, which is something that I enjoy to see during the tape as well. And honestly, if you're a defensive lineman and you watch the tape on Quenton Nelson, you probably cringe to yourself. This guy might be the best player in the entire NFL draft. And I have the Colts getting him because With Andrew Luck and his injury history, what should be Indianapolis's priority? Protect your franchise quarterback. Do not let another injury go down to Andrew Luck. That starts with pass protection, also starts with running the football effectively. That's another thing. The Colts got to run the football well to kind of ease up that pass rush. Quenton Nelson is a good building block there. They have Ryan Kelly coming back at center. I know Jack Mewhort is a free agent, but if they bring him back at guard, you have Mewhort, Kelly, and Quenton Nelson on the interior of that offensive line. Very, very important there. And I think would be best case scenario for the Colts. Actually, best case, you bring in Andrew Norwell, which is very possible too. So here's what one NFL executive said about Quenton. Quote, he's one of the best run blockers I've ever evaluated, but he's not a liability in pass protection like Mike Iupati is. He's also an alpha who can bring an ass-kicking mindset into your position room. So that's what one NFL executive said about Quenton Nelson. He's there at number 3, going to the Indianapolis Colts. Let's check in with number 4 overall. The Cleveland Browns, thanks to the Houston Texans, will select the spark plug himself, Saquon Barkley, running back out of Penn State. So Darnold, Saquon, 1-2 punch. I'm liking it, folks. I like it a lot. 6 feet, 233. Did 29 reps on the bench yesterday at the Combine, by the way, which is a very solid number for a running back. For a perspective there, only 6 running backs since 1999 have done more than 29 reps on the bench. One was Samaje Perine, by the way, who had 30 of 225 pounds at last year's Combine. And look, Cleveland looks like they're going to have their front 5 all set to go on that offensive line, so that's very important from a continuity standpoint. Saquon runs with optimal pad level, elite wiggle triggered by fluid hips when he runs. Knee bend is good, aggressive on his jump cuts, etc. Presses the line of scrimmage pretty good as well. Only thing is he tends to do too much, and that's where I have my concerns about Saquon. So if he just kind of takes that 4-yard gain sometimes, at the NFL level, it'll go a long way. So Barkley goes to the Browns. Let's go to number 5 overall, the Denver Broncos. Who are they selecting? They are going to get Baker Mayfield. I will preface this discussion with the following. If the Denver Broncos get Kirk Cousins in free agency, I am changing my rankings, and I am taking Baker Mayfield out here, and I'm actually thinking that maybe the Denver Broncos trade back, so they don't even trade at this 5th overall pick. But for all intents and purposes, let's assume Kirk doesn't go to Denver. I think Mayfield will. If you want excitement, you draft this guy. He brings it. And I honestly think John Elway will fall in love with this guy. Gritty, competitive player. I think he fits the Denver culture. I think he would really perform well in that offensive system with Bill Musgrave. Musgrave known for designing an offensive system that fits a player's strengths. And I think Musgrave will do that with Baker Mayfield. Mayfield definitely has the competitive and fiery advantage over Josh Rosen and even Sam Darnold. And Mayfield completed 53% of his throws of 21-plus yards over the last 2 years. Great touch pass over linebackers in coverage. In terms of grit and having a chip on his shoulder, Mayfield brings that to the table. So I am all in on Baker Mayfield going to the Denver Broncos, assuming Kirk Cousins does not. Let's go to 6 overall. We'll stay with the quarterback theme here. The New York Jets will select Josh Allen, quarterback out of Wyoming, and I feel for this guy. It's like people either love him to the T that maybe complacency could come into his mind, or also hate him and saying that he could be the biggest bust ever, Kyle Bowler 2.0, which is probably not a good thing to have. So here's the deal. I'm going to give it to you straight on Josh Allen. He's big. He's 6'5", 233. He's got the arm strength and the talent. The tape shows that. He's also a little inaccurate. His completion percentage, quite frankly, stunk. Never had a completion rate higher than 57% as a starter, and he's a boomer bust quarterback. If you're part of a team's leadership and you have a quarterback cemented as a bridge guy, and the Jets could be in that situation, then I think bringing in Josh Allen makes sense. So I'm kind of assuming here the Jets will sign a Josh McCown for like one more year, just so offensive coordinator Jeremy Bates can kind of coach up Josh Allen. And Jeremy Bates knows how to coach up quarterbacks. He's been a quarterback's coach before many times in Denver, Chicago, and also with the Jets. So McCown is that gap option there. Gives Bates time to kind of groom Josh Allen. And who knows? Allen may be ready by the time Week 14, 2018 comes around, and he's the starting quarterback. So I got the Jets grabbing Josh Allen. That's also part of my bold predictions for the NFL offseason, so I'm sticking to it. Let's go to number 7 overall. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They need pass rushing help so much, and the free agent market isn't that great. So they go with Bradley Chubb, defensive end out of NC State. And I think they have to do this, guys. Why? Because there is a big drop-off after Chubb in terms of edge rushing ability, pass rushing ability, etc. He looks the part, long-limbed, broad chest, built shoulders, thick legs. He's got the ability. Good combination of size and athleticism. Sets and holds the edge with a wide base. Major disruptor who gets into gaps and drives up the field, which is what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers want and need. They need a disruptor. They were dead last in sacks in the NFL last season. Bradley Chubb does not quit. He is a fighter. He's an effort guy, somebody that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers should surely look into for the NFL draft. I got him at number 7 overall. Let's go to number 8 now. Calvin Ridley going to the Chicago Bears. I don't like it, but I think it's going to happen. So I talked about earlier on the show how the Bears are in dire need of a wide receiver because like Dontrell Inman and Kevin White and Kendall Wright are not good. So insert Calvin Ridley, a slick and smooth route runner. My suspicion is actually the Bears find a wide receiver via free agency and they don't have to go out and reach for a Calvin Ridley. But for all intents and purposes, let's say that they don't. And Ridley possesses elite separation ability. Really good in terms of shaking off defenders, cornerbacks, safeties, etc. And route stems and breaks are seamless and sharp. And he is the most polished wide receiver in this draft, and it's not even close. So I've got Calvin Ridley going to the Chicago Bears. He's a receiver that would pair nicely with maybe a Jarvis Landry. So let's say the Bears bring in Jarvis Landry and they still want to get Calvin at number 8 overall. Think about that combo for Mitchell Trubisky. Pretty cool stuff right there. So Calvin at number 8. I'll go quickly here with 9 and 10. Josh Jackson to the San Francisco 49ers at number 9 overall. So I will preface this discussion with the 49ers and the Raiders are going to do a coin flip to decide who picks at number 8 or number 9 overall and who picks at number 10 overall. So at number 9, we are just going to flip our own coin and say the San Francisco 49ers select there. Josh Jackson, fantastic frame, 6'1", 192. He's the guy the 49ers need opposite Ahkello Witherspoon. 27 passes defended, including 8 interceptions in 2017. Smells the football really well. Made a play on 25.7% of his targets. He's got the instincts. They're top-notch. Plays the ball, not the man. Flashed supreme ball skills at Iowa. This guy would be a worthy pickup. I've seen Denzel Ward going to the 49ers, but why go with Denzel under 6 feet when you could go with Joshua Jackson at 6'1" and has a history of making big-time plays? I just don't see any reason to go with Denzel Ward there. So I've got Joshua Jackson. David in the comments section says wrong. Niners get Fitzpatrick at number 9. Could see that as well, David. So definitely have an argument on that one. Let's go to number 10 overall, the Oakland Raiders. They will select Roquan Smith, linebacker out of Georgia. So the Raiders have Bruce Irvin and Corey James, but they need a Mike linebacker. Navarro Bowman is, of course, a free agent. So Roquan, fluid and explosive in space. He's a block slipper, really fantastic player, praised by his head coach as being a tremendous leader who holds himself accountable. I like that in the character department. And can run with running backs really well. So he can do a good job in pass coverage, solid in defending, crossing patterns. He's a tad undersized. That's the knock on him, but not really a major concern for me. And this is what one AFC team personnel director said about Roquan Smith. Quote, great player, really fun to watch because he can just get any play on the field done, and he's only going to get better. So Roquan Smith going number 10 overall to the Oakland Raiders. Let's summarize my top 10 mock draft here on the Cam Rogers Show. Darnold to the Browns, Rosen to the Giants, Quenton Nelson to the Colts, Saquon to the Browns, Baker Mayfield to the Broncos if they don't get Kirk. 6 through 10, Josh Allen to the Jets, Bradley Chubb to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Calvin Ridley to the Chicago Bears, and Joshua Jackson to the Niners, followed by Roquan Smith to the Oakland Raiders. There you go, my top 10 mock draft here on the Cam Rogers Show. So some NFL discussion there. We transition now into a little NBA talk. We've got my guy, Brian Rauf, joining me now. Of course, NBA analyst here at Chat Sports. Brian, appreciate the time, sir. Happy Friday, and let's get right into it. NBA MVP Power Rankings. Of course, Tom and Harris talked about it last night on NBA Weekly. We have you on to talk about it a little more, and we'll start things off with Anthony Davis, checking in at number 5 here. And Brian, what a month he had, huh?
It was insane. He averaged a little over 35 points a game, putting double-doubles up left and right. It's kind of crazy. We all thought the Pelicans were done when DeMarcus Cousins suffered his Achilles injury and is out for the year. But the Pelicans currently are 1 game out of the 3 seed in the Western Conference, pretty much only because of the play of Anthony Davis.
You see the season stats there, really remarkable. And you want to talk about the Pelicans in general. Give me your general thoughts about this team, Brian, and as perhaps they try to make a playoff push here.
It's Anthony Davis and everybody else. Yeah. They're a team that doesn't have a whole lot around him. They need him to be the guy Russell Westbrook was last year with the Thunder, who can put up 30, 40, 50 points on any given night. They need those kind of performances from him if they're going to have anything resembling playoff success.
DeMarcus Cousins, tough injury to see, and so Anthony Davis taking all of the heat on that one, Brian, no doubt about it. And he's there at number 5 for our MVP Power Rankings. Let's check in with number 4, the Greek freak, Giannis of the Milwaukee Bucks. What do you make of him?
He's been doing it all year long. Now, he was a front runner, I would say, early on in the season. He's kind of come back to the pack as Milwaukee has gotten inconsistent at times this year, particularly on the defensive end. They've really struggled after the All-Star break here trying to gear back up. But he's a guy who can do everything on the court, and it's really started to come into his own this year and cement himself as one of the top-tier elite players in the league. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what he can do with the talented Bucks team in the playoffs.
You know, Brian, Harris has been on my show a few times, and he has mentioned how the Bucks could be that sneaky, disruptive team in the NBA playoffs. Do you buy into that?
A little bit. I don't think they're going to make the conference finals or anything like that, but I do think that they can win a first-round series and give some team a good test in the second round simply because they have, other than LeBron James, a guy who would be the best player on the court in Giannis. And in the playoffs, having the best player matters a lot more than it does in the NBA than it does in any other sport.
Okay, so there's Giannis at number 4 in our MVP Power Rankings. Let's go to number 3, Steph Curry. Career high in shooting percentage right now. He's getting it done.
Yeah, and now him and Kevin Durant can both kind of make their case for the MVP. We give the nod to Curry here because he's pretty clearly the engine that drives the Warriors. The Warriors have played well without him this year, but it hasn't been at the same level of the point they have been when he's been on the court. He's clearly their most valuable player, which is why he gets these spots in our rankings. He's one of those guys who's going to be on this list every year until he really starts hitting the back end of his career.
So we did, of course, our top 5 here, Brian. Is there potentiality for maybe Durant to sneak into this list at some point?
At some point, but you would need Anthony Davis or Giannis to really fall off, which I don't see happening. And the problem with having 2 guys of Durant and Curry's caliber when it comes to the MVP conversation is that they both sort of take away from the other one's argument, which is why I don't think we'll see one of those players win the MVP as long as they play together.
All right, so there is Steph at number 3. Number 2, LeBron James. That's right, he's not at number 1, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Brian, what's the deal with LeBron here?
Now, you can make some argument against LeBron because the Cavs are only in third place in the East, and he's had some questionable effort at times, particularly right before the trade deadline when they were struggling. But he's having an insane season again. He's averaging between 26 to 27 points, 9 assists a game, almost 8.5 rebounds per game. It's at a point now where he's 33 years old and is still putting up numbers that only a select few people in the league are putting up, and it's really incredible to watch. He's also coming off the first month of his career in February where he averaged a triple-double for the entire month. So because of that and the way Cleveland sort of turned their season around, he gets the number 2 spot.
While we're on the subject, of course, LeBron James and his future beyond this 2018 or 2017-2018 season here, Brian, of course, you're seeing the 76ers trying to recruit him. I'm going to talk about something with Joel Embiid posting on Instagram later after our interview here. Where do you see him headed? Anything new in terms of your thoughts about LeBron?
I do think the Sixers have become a more legitimate destination than maybe they were at the beginning of the season when people were throwing them out there as a potential possibility. I think it's pretty much down to either return to Cleveland, going out to LA for the Lakers, maybe the Rockets, if they can somehow contort their salary cap situation, which I don't see happening. I would put them as a distant 4th. And then I'd throw the Sixers in that mix as well. So I really think it'll be Cleveland, LA, or Philly, with Cleveland still as the favorite to re-sign him.
Okay, LeBron at number 2. Let's go to number 1, and it's James Harden. And Brian, this guy broke the internet the other night with a slick crossover that he had. What do we make of James Harden here, number 1?
Yeah, he broke Wesley Johnson too on that crossover. I mean, it was just it was one of those things where there's only a select few moments from a season that you kind of remember and resonate with you and stick with you. That's going to be one of these moments, and I think he had pretty much the MVP race essentially wrapped up before this, given the way he has played this year and the way Houston has played this year. And adding that moment to the mix, I think, just really put it in the bag. I think everybody's kind of playing for second here, unless he suffers an injury and misses the last month and a half of the season, or suddenly falls off a cliff and Houston loses like 15 games in a row, which, again, I don't see happening.
How scared should the Warriors be of this Houston Rockets team, Brian? They're killing it.
They are killing it, but again, the Houston's trying to beat Golden State playing Golden State's game, which, if I'm Golden State, that's the kind of challenge I want. I want a team that thinks they're as good as we are at what we do, and we're the best ever at what we do. So they're a threat, and I think the fact that they're in a tough battle for the 1 seed right now, I think that kind of will raise Golden State's eyebrows and pique their interest. But again, I think that will only lead to getting the most out of Golden State, which will result in them winning a 6 or 7 game series. I would still give the edge to Golden State, but Houston certainly is playing very well.
Brian Rauf, our NBA analyst, joining the Cam Rogers Show today. Brian, appreciate it. Have a good weekend, sir.
Appreciate it. You as well.
All right, take care. Let's summarize what we have so far, ladies and gentlemen, in our MVP Power Rankings race. James Harden at number 1, LeBron James at 2, Steph Curry at 3, the Greek Freak at number 4, and Anthony Davis at number 5. Who do you think will win the MVP in the NBA? Give us a heart for LeBron, a like for James Harden, a laughing face for Giannis, and a wow face for Steph Curry. Hit me with those reactions. I'll be tracking them here on Facebook Live, also tracking all of the comments that flow in from David, Justin, Jason, everybody joining in on the Cam Rogers Show here today, presented by AutoList. Head on to autolist.com, and you can save yourself so much time when you are looking for that perfect new or used car. You go on all these million websites, you waste your time, you never find the one you like. AutoList has it all right there for you. Autolist.com is the website. Check them out. It's really a fantastic website if you're looking for that dream car. They've got you covered. All right, so I hinted at Joel Embiid perhaps recruiting LeBron James to join the 76ers. This is the final word here today. So he posted on Instagram after last night's game, and this was actually after a victory too, by the way, 108-97 victory over the Cleveland Browns. And here's the caption. If you can't see it on your screen, it reads, "Always a great time playing against one of the best to ever play the game." And then he capped off the post with the hashtag Summer 2018 Goals, seemingly alluding to James's impending free agency. I think, everybody thinks, I think even Joel Embiid thinks that. But he did clarify things last night on Twitter, I guess. It's not what y'all think, LOL. I don't know, Joel. I think it sounded like you were trying to recruit LeBron James there. So there's a lot of pathways here in terms of where LeBron could go. Could be just staying with Cleveland. It could be the 76ers, could be the Knicks, the Lakers, the Rockets, which probably seems unlikely, but it's a possibility. And I actually think the 76ers would be very, very smart to sign LeBron James there via free agency, and I think Joel Embiid would agree with that one. So that's the final word there on the 76ers. And by the way, companies are like buying out billboards and all this stuff to try to like get LeBron to join the 76ers. So very interesting stuff. Justin chiming in the comment section. If Freak leaves, he goes to Philly. LeBron goes to Lakers. Ooh, interesting hot take there. And, you know, a lot of people could argue that LeBron wants to go to LA, got a couple of houses out there, some business interests. But the only thing about the Lakers, Justin, have my concerns about LeBron and Lonzo and LeVar all meshing together. Interesting stuff, though. Mitchell Renz chiming in the comments section, and Justin as well chiming in about the billboards. Yes, of course, the billboards are out there. Mitchell with the comment, LeBron is the MVP. Sorry, Mitchell, according to our rankings, LeBron James is at number 2. David chiming in, I think freaking Philly will hurt that 2 starters with no outside game. Let me say this. In terms of the short term, the Milwaukee Bucks could make some big-time noise in the NBA playoffs. I'm starting to buy into what Harris Rubenstein here at Chat Sports has been saying about perhaps the Bucks making some big-time pushes in the NBA postseason. Eric thinks Giannis should be the MVP. Well, certainly is an argument to be made right there. Jason AD should be the MVP. Jason, appreciate the comment. And yeah, Anthony Davis, with no DeMarcus Cousins and the way in which he's playing in the month that he just had, you got a major argument, no doubt about it. So we appreciate the comments. Keep them flowing in here on the Cam Rogers Show. Let's summarize one more time my MVP power rankings. We'll, of course, have a fresh list sometime next week, maybe the week after. Harden at 1, LeBron at 2, Steph Curry at 3, Giannis at 4, and Anthony Davis there checking in at number 5. So we'll have a fresh list next week. And then on Monday, we'll have another batch of NBA power rankings. Harris Rubenstein will be joining the show, and he will be going through numbers 30 through 1 in terms of the power rankings in the NBA. All right, folks, if you are a big-time podcast listener, head on to this website, chatsports.com/Cam Show. That's how you can get the podcast version of the Cam Rogers Show. Get me wherever you go. Subscribe, download, leave a review too. We really appreciate 5-star reviews would be preferable. Hit a like on the Facebook Live broadcast as well, and you can get the Cam Rogers Show wherever you may go within your travels, perhaps in the office, etc. Follow me on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. A lot to get to next week as well. Monday morning is my next show, episode 73, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I'll be talking about the latest NFL headlines, storylines, etc. coming out of the Combine and things to look forward to for free agency, more NBA power rankings as well. All right, folks, I am saying goodbye. Enjoy your weekend. Take care.